So, good morning everyone. Um, we are the group 16 and we are going to report about the social cognitive theory of Albert Bandura. So, for my group mate, which is Miss Hazel Salonoy, we are going to tackle about this theory. So, the overview of social cognitive theory. So, Albert Bandura's social cognitive theory takes chance encounters and fortuitous events seriously, even while recognizing that these meetings and events do not invariably alter one's life path. So, yung chance encounters, ito na yung meeting an unexpected person sa buhay mo. Or meeting an unexpected person unintentionally. Like, for example, divorced ka na sa asawa mo. So, there is a high possibility na that you will encounter a person you will remarry. Sa fortuitous event naman is connected siya on the environment. So most likely, you will go to the environment where there are so many single women or men, or pwede ring online kasi modern na tayo right now. So, yan. So, social cognitive theory rests on several basic assumptions. So, may 5. So, yung first assumption daw is, the outstanding characteristic of humans is plasticity. That is, humans have the flexibility to learn a variety of behaviors in diverse situations. So, si Bandura is nag-agree with Skinner that people learn things by direct experience. But Bandura is more emphasizing that people learn things vicariously, and that is by observing others, or ito na yung observational learning na sinasabi ni Bandura. So, plasticity is more like your flexibility to learn and showcase certain behaviors. Like, for example, by observing other people, it states that we learn certain behaviors in different situations. Like sa mga bata, they see their mother doing things like, washing dishes, and habang tumatagal, mas nagiging flexible sila to learn that certain thing just by observing it over time. So, makikita mo sa next 3 days, for example, they're already joining their mother washing the dishes also. So, plasticity is the ability of a person to learn things on their own, not by the help of others, but on their own by the help of observational learning. Second, yung second assumption is, through a triadic reciprocal causation model that includes behavioral, environmental, and personal factors, people have the capacity to regulate their lives. So, yung triadic reciprocal causation is pinapakita rito kung paano nagkakaroon ng effects sa isa't isa yung tatlong variable, which are yung person, environment, and behavior. So, person to environment, it could be person to behavior also, environment to behavior, and vice versa. So, later on, we can dig deeper about it since this is just an overview. So, social cognitive theory takes an agentic perspective, meaning that humans have the capacity to exercise control over the nature and quality of their lives. So, yung agentic perspective is just emphasizing how humans or a certain person has the control of their own lives. And they are their own masters. Kung ano yung buhay mo ngayon, ikaw ang may control at gumawa niyan. So, basically, you are the one who is in charge of your own quality of living. So, yung fourth assumption is people regulate their conduct through both external and internal factors. So, sa external, included dito yung people's physical and social environments, of course, whereas internal factors include self-observation, judgmental process, and self-reaction. So, yung mga external and internal factors that regulate our own behaviors sa external factors, of course, kasama dyan yung physical and social, sabi ko. So, how you reacted on a certain situations, like, nagalit ka sa kapatid mo kasi pinakialaman niya yung gamit mo nang walang paalam. O di kaya you feel upset about the results of your exam. And then, papasok dyan yung internal factors, where we have the capacity to observe and have judgment of our own behaviors. Like, if mahaba or if mababa yung exams mo, maaaring mangyari na ma-feel mong ang syunga-syunga ko naman, bakit gano'n, nag-study naman ako. Like, you're judging your own behavior. or you're making self-reactions. So fifth is when people find themselves in morally ambiguous situations, they typically attempt to regulate their behavior through moral agency, sabi dyan. So, in-emphasize niya dito that we have the capacity to self-regulate or regulate our own behavior based on our own moral agency, like our own values and beliefs. Especially raw when you face ambiguous situations, like yung mga situations na hindi mo alam kung paano ka pa magpapatuloy. And subjective rin siya kasi people has different level of resiliency. For example, maaring sobrang bigat yung pangyayari na yun sa kanya, or maaring sa isa is hindi siya ganun kabigat. So, yun. So next is the biography of Albert Bandura. So Albert Bandura was born in December 4, 1925 in Mondaire, a small town on the plains of northern Alberta. He grew up the only boy in a family of 5 older sisters. So Bandura was encouraged by his sisters to be independent and self-reliant. He also learned self-directiveness in the town's tiny school that had few teachers and little resources. So parang ito yung nag-udyok sa kanya to formulate this social cognitive theory. Kasi in their school route, they only have 2 teachers and pahirapan yung pagtuturo sa school nila. And he observed that yung mga estudyante is mas natututo by observing certain things around them. So, sabi dito, after graduating from high school, Bandura spent a summer in the Yukon working on the Alaska Highway. So, he completed a master's degree in 1951 and a PhD in clinical psychology the following year. So his most influential books are Social Learning Theory, published in 1977, Social Foundations of Thought and Action in 1986, and Self-Efficacy, or the Exercise of Control in 1997. So next is learning. So one of the earliest and most basic assumptions of Bandura's social cognitive theory is that humans are quite flexible and capable of learning a multitude of attitudes, skills, and behaviors, that a good bit of those learnings are a result of vicarious experiences. So first dyan is yung observational learning, which is yung ina-emphasize ng theory na to, which is social cognitive theory. So Bandura believes that observation allows people to learn without performing any behavior. So he is emphasizing that just by observing things or other people, matututunan mo pa rin yung isang bagay. So I think that's true based on my own experiences. Kasi wala namang nagturo sa akin kung paano magluto. Pero just by observing other people or watching videos online, natutunan ko pa rin kung paano yung pagluluto, halimbawa ng adobo. So, kahit na hindi ko siya directly pina-perform. So, sabi dito, Bandura differs from Skinner, who held that an active behavior is the basic datum of psychological science. So, sabi ni Bandura, he believes that observational learning is much more efficient than learning through direct experiences. So, nag-oppose siya kay Skinner. So, yun na nga, although Bandura agrees to Skinner, hindi siya totally nag-oppose. Nag-agree siya. Pero, sabi ni Skinner that people learn by direct experiences, but Bandura believes more that observational learning is more efficient in terms of learning certain things and behavior. Kagaya na example ko kanina. Although pareho namang may point yung theory nila, and their theory could be a good combination, or it can really be applied in real life. So, next dyan is yung modeling. So, ito yung core of observational learning na sinasabi. So, learning through modeling involves adding and subtracting from the observed behavior and generalizing from one observation to another. So, Modeling is a way of observing other people's behavior and replicating it, or you are modifying that behavior. So, pwedeng yung behavior na yun is from a real model or a person, or it could be sa mga fictional characters, yung mga napapanood natin sa movies or series, na sometimes is na-adapt natin yung mga behavior and gawin nila. Pero, nakabase pa rin yung pag-learn mo ng behavior na isang model na yun sa consequences ng actions or ng behavior na yun. So, bakit consequences lang ay ina-emphasize niya or in-emphasize ni Bandura? Kasi, he disagreed to Skinner about reinforcing a certain behavior. So, reward is not important raw to elicit certain actions or para sumunod sa isang actions. Kaya sabi ni Bandura, modeling involves cognitive processes and is not simply mimicry or imitation. It is more than matching the actions of another. It involves symbolically representing information and storing it for use at a future time, sabi ni Bandura. So, kaya, iisipin mo pa rin if is it good or bad to learn and execute this type of behavior or this kind of actions, or makakabuti kaya to sa akin or sa ibang tao. For example, killing someone or hurting someone physically na lang to be less sensitive. So we all know that it is not a good thing to learn that certain behavior. So that is why sabi niya, it is not simply mimicry or imitation. Hindi lang siya simple na gagayahin mo lang. It still involves cognitive processes such as yung thinking natin, yung motivation natin, attention, and so on. So, there are several factors determine whether a person will learn from a model in any particular situations. So, first, the characteristics of the model are important. So, people na raw are most likely to model those skillful and talented people. They don't model those people with low skills and status in life. So, syempre, for example, ako, syempre, yung imomodel kong tao is dapat mas magaling sa akin and mas skillful at maraming alam. So, maraming alam dapat to learn, for me to learn efficiently. So, second is yung characteristics of the behavior affects the likelihood of modeling. So, most people raw na nagmo-model is yung may mga low skill levels. And hindi sila ganun kagaling sa isang bagay. So, hindi sila ganun ka-capable. That is why they model those person or people na mas magagaling and skillful sa kanila to learn more efficiently. So the third one is the consequences of behavior being modeled may have an effect on the observer. So nakaka-apekto raw kung how valuable that certain thing or that certain behavior being modeled, sabi diyan, and gaano ito ka-helpful sa isang tao. And if it has greater value daw, most likely mas na-acquired natin yung behavior na yun, sabi ni Bandura. Also, learning may be facilitated when the observer views a modeling receiving severe punishment. Ang example dito is, nakita mo yung isang tao na hinawakan yung electric wire and nakuryente siya ron. So, yung value ron or valuable lesson na nakuha mo is greater, kaya ang gagawin mo is hindi mo i-adapt yung ganong behavior. So, na-acquire mo yung valuable reason na nandun sa action na yun. So, next is process governing observational learning. So, Bandura recognizes 4 processes that govern observational learning, which is yung attention, representation, behavioral production, and motivation. So, attention is number 1. So, the nature of the behavior being modeled affects our attention. So, we observe behavior that we think is important or valuable to us. So, before we can model another person, we must attend to that person, sabi niya. There are 3 factors that regulates attention. So, first is yung relevance, like kung gaano ka-relevant yung behavior na yon sa atin. Yun yung mas binibigyan natin ng attention. If ma-apply ba nila yon in their own life or nakaka-relate ba sila doon sa behavior na yon. Second is yung attractiveness or appeal ng model na binibigyan natin ng pansin kaysa sa mga unattractive ones. So, for example, yung mga nakikita natin on TV. On TV, tapos in sports or sa mga movies. So, yung third is yung nature ng behavior na minamodel ng tao. Naapektuhan daw nun yung attention ng isang tao kasi we observe behavior that is more valuable and important to us. Na may makukuha tayong lesson doon sa behavior na yun. Next is representation. So, sabi dito, ang representation daw is in order for observation to lead to new response patterns, those patterns must be symbolically represented in memory. So, symbolic representation need not to be verbal because some observations are not retained in imagery and can be summoned in the absence of the physical model. So, hindi naman, sabi niya, hindi naman kailangan verbally sasabihin yung observations or i-explain sa'yo yung isang bagay. Kasi nga, we can retain observations through imagery and with the help of our memory. Na-imagine pa rin natin yung isang bagay even though we can't see it at the moment or absent yung kanyang physicality or yung physical model niya. So, this process is especially important in infancy when verbal skills are not yet developed. So, kaya sinasabi importante rin ito sa mga infant kasi, di ba, most likely sila, sa kanila is naglalakpas sila sa verbal skills, like di pa sila ganun ka nakakapagsalita. For example, they already have the imagery of feeding bottle or yung bibiron sa kanilang utak. So, nagsisimbolize na yun na pwede silang uminom ng gatas sa bibiron na yun even without looking the physicality of that thing. In adults naman, for example, we already have the imagery of the kitchen. So, we already know what we are going to do or what behavior we can do in the kitchen. So, we can cook in the kitchen, for example, or maliligo tayo sa CR kasi alam natin na ang CR, diba? So, verbal coding, however, greatly speeds the process of observational learning. Sabi dito, because of verbal coding, mas na-speed up raw yung observational learning. And with the help of language. Sabi, we can easily evaluate verbally or our own behavior and makakapag-decide tayo which one are more important or not important. Kung ano yung hindi dapat o yung mga dapat nating gawing behavior or at least set na behavior. By verbal coding rin daw, we can rehearse over and over again the behavior na we already retain for us to perform it better. So, next is yung behavioral production na. So, after attending to a model and retaining what we have observed, we then produce the behavior. So, na-produce na natin yung behavior in converting cognitive representations, sabi niya, into appropriate actions. We must ask ourselves several questions about the behavior to be modeled. So, yung first question na i-ask natin is, how can I do this? Paano ko ba ito gagawin? For example, cooking, tama ba na nagpa-apoy na ako rito? O isasalang ko na ba yung manok? Or yung spices, ilalagay ko na ba? So, while pinaperform natin yung cooking, halimbawa, mag-a-ask tayo ulit, what am I doing? Pangalawa, kasi baka hindi mo pa alam na cooking pala yung ginagawa mo. For example lang naman. And then lastly, we evaluate our performance. So, am I doing this right? Tama ba ang ginagawa ko? Mahirap talagang masagot if tama ang ginagawa natin or kaya important na i-evaluate natin yung behavior natin and also need to perform this with motor skills. Kagaya na lamang ng mga skills na ballet dancing or swimming. Next is yung motivation. So, observational learning is not effective when learners are motivated to perform the modeled behavior. So, attention and representation, sabi dito, lead to the acquisition of learning. But performance is facilitated by motivation to enact that particular behavior. So, Sabi diyan, depende pa rin yung pag-perform natin ng isang behavior or actions sa kung ano yung state of our motivation. So, sinasabi diyan na even though you know to perform or to do such thing, you can still not do it because of not having any motivation to do it. So, for example, alam mo naman paano maglinis ng bahay, pero you don't have the motivation to perform such necessary action. Kasi nga, wala kang motivation to do it. So, it could be tinatamad ka or you are upset about some things or situation, kaya wala kang ganang gumalaw. Kaya nakaka-apekto yung motivation natin sa pag-perform. Next is yung inactive learning. So, every response a person makes is followed by some consequence. Sabi ni Bandura, some of these consequences are satisfying and dissatisfying. So, matututo naman daw tayo ng isang complex na bagay or behavior if natututunan natin paano i-evaluate yung mga consequences ng magiging actions natin or naging actions natin. So, the consequences of a response serve at least 3 functions. First is yung response consequences inform us of the effects of our actions. Sinasabi dyan na ang response consequences raw is sasabihin sa atin kung yung magiging epekto ng certain action na yun sa atin mismo. Ano yung magiging effect? Maybe negative or positive na bagay na magiging makakapekto sa atin ng ginagawa natin, yung action na yun. And we can most likely retain those things in our mind. At pwede natin yun magamit sa mga future actions pa na gagawin natin. Second is the consequences of our response motivate our anticipatory behavior. That is, we are capable of symbolically representing future outcomes and acting accordingly. And sinasabi dyan na ano ba ang ma-anticipate nating bagay in terms of this certain behavior. So, ano yung magiging outcome if ginagawa ko ito or ito. So, and it can help us also kung paano mag-act accordingly or properly to certain things or situations. We don't only possess insights, sabi ni Bandura, but we also possess foresight. For example, hindi naman natin hahayaan na mag-suffer tayo on certain things like mainit sa labas. So, us people will most likely avoid discomfort. And gagawin natin is magdadala tayo ng payong or mag-apply tayo ng sunscreen to protect our skin. So, another example is super lamig sa labas, kabaliktaran, and we don't want to suffer also sa lamig. Kaya nagsuot tayo ng coat and jacket to protect ourselves sa lamig. So, yun yung sinasabing na-anticipate natin yung bagay or outcomes, kaya tayo nag-respond properly or accordingly, kagaya ng mga nabanggit ko kanina. So, third one, sabi sa PPT is, the consequences of responses serve to reinforce behavior. So, ito na yung ni-propose ni Skinner na reinforcement or yung rewards and punishment, but Bandura does not so agree on Skinner. Although nag-agree siya. Sabi ni Bandura, although reinforcement may at times be unconscious and automatic, complex behavioral patterns are greatly facilitated by cognitive interventions. Ibig sabihin, much better pa rin na cognitively involved yung isang tao sa certain actions na gagawin niya at hindi lang dahil sa kung ano yung reward na makukuha niya pag ginawa niya yung isang behavior or action na yun. So, sabi niya, however, contends that although reinforcement may at times be unconscious and automatic, yung sabi ko kanina, complex behavioral patterns are greatly facilitated by cognitive intervention. So, yung triadic reciprocal causation naman is next. So, Albert Bandura starts from 1986 to 2002, adopts quite a different stance to any other theorist. So, his social cognitive theory explains psychological functioning in terms of triadic reciprocal causation. So, this system assumes that human action is a result of an interaction among 3 variables. So, yung 3 variables na yun is yung environment, behavior, and person. So, by person, Bandura means largely but not exclusively such cognitive factors as memory, thinking, anticipation, planning, and judging. So people possess and use these cognitive capacities. They have some capacity to select or to restructure their environment, sabi sa book. So that is, cognition at least partially determines which environmental events people attend to, or what value they place on these events, and how they organize these events for future use. So Bandura criticized those theorists who attribute the cause of human behavior to internal forces, such as yung instincts, drives, needs, or intentions. Cognition itself is determined being formed by both behavior and environment, sabi niya. So, ang in-emphasize lang naman talaga ng triadic reciprocal causation. Triadic reciprocal causation is yung three variables, which is yung person, environment, and behavior, is nakaka-apekto sila sa isa't isa. Like, they affect each other. So, for example, yung person to behavior, person to environment, it could be behavior to person, or behavior to environment, or person to environment, and vice versa. So, naapektuhan nila ang isa't isa, and somehow, it also shapes or influence our own actions and behavior. So, I will give an example para mas klaro siya sa pagkakaintindi natin. So, kaya siya triadic kasi may ibig sabihin ng tri is tatlo. So, may tatlong variable na naapektuhan nila yung isa't isa. So, makikita natin dun sa triangle, which is yung arrow is nagbabalikan silang dalawa sa isa't isa. Like yung person to behavior is yung arrow nila is nagbabalikan because they influence or they cause something with each other. Kagaya na lamang yun ng iba. So, an example scenario of triadic reciprocal causation is first is yung halimbawa sa personal or yung sa person na variable. So, ikaw na student, mataas yung belief mo on your academic performance, or yung mga natutunan mo sa school is yung thinking mo is very helpful talaga. Very helpful talaga yun sa'yo. So, yun yung sa personal. So, sa behavior, since you have a positive attitude na helpful yung mga natutunan mo in school, mas nagsaset ka ng goals and nagsaset ka ng good study habits. For example. So, yun yung naging behavior mo. Sa environmental is napansin mo na ang teacher mo is napansin ng teacher mo na very engaged ka and todo effort ka on your studies. Kaya the environment around you or yung mga teachers mo sa school is tinulungan ka rin nila to excel on your studies. So yung interaction, punta tayo sa interaction. So personal to behavior. So because of your positive attitude and belief on your academic performance, yun yung personal factors. Most likely, nag-lead siya sa behavior mo na mas nag-engage ka and nag-effort ka sa studies mo. And mas nag-set ka pa ng goals mo to achieve something. So, sa behavior and to environment naman, dahil sa positive behavior mo, nag-lead siya na mas tulungan ka pa ng teachers mo in your school to excel and learn more. So, yun yung environment mo. Sa environmental behavior, because of the help na natanggap mo sa teachers mo, ang naging behavior mo tuloy or cause nun is mas na-encourage ka to put more effort and to continue performing those positive behavior. So, sa behavior to personal, dahil naman sa pag-continue mo to perform those behavior, sobrang sipag mo and nag-lead yun or cause yun for you to have more positive attitudes and yung thinking mo na mas nagiging helpful siya sa'yo or yung learnings mo sa school is mas nakakaganda sa'yo. So, let's move on to chance encounters and fortuitous events. So, Bandura in 1998 defined a chance encounter as an unintended meeting of persons unfamiliar to each other. So, ang fortuitous event naman, on the other hand, is an environmental experience that is unexpected and unintended. So, chance encounters, for example, and fortuitous events, in-emphasize dyan yung changes of path or direction ng buhay ng isang tao because of the unexpected things or happenings na nangyari sa buhay nila. For example, nangyaring naghiwalay kayo ng boyfriend mo, and sa chance encounter, na sinasabi is most likely daw, may possibility na makakamit ka, or kung gugustuhin mo, makakamit ka ulit ng bagong tao. Or unexpectedly dadating sa buhay mo rin. And then, ang mangyayari sa fortuitous event naman is unexpectedly, or plano mo na nag-abroad ka and you met someone sa isang bar or concert, for example. At doon, nagkantahan kayo unexpectedly or maybe or intentionally, and dahil doon, nag-iba yung path na mapupuntahan or dediretsuhan mo because of those unexpected event sa buhay mo. Sabi nga, it could also be uncontrollable. Sabi nga ni Bandura. Kasi nga, you can make these things happen intentionally. Kagaya ng sinasabi ko kanina. Depende sa kagustuhan mo. So, sabi nga na ang chance encounters and fortuitous events are not uncontrollable. And serendipitous events siya na nangyayari sa isang tao or sa buhay ng isang tao that could alter the path that they really wanna take. So let's move on to human agency. So human agency is the essence of humanness, sabi ni Bandura. So he believes that people are self-regulating, proactive, self-reflective, and self-organizing, and that they have the power to influence their own actions to produce desired consequences. So, ito yung sinasabi sa social cognitive theory na may agentic perspective or agentic personality daw yung bawat tao. So, ito yung sinasabi na we have the control or we are the one who's in control of our own lives. So, yung sinasabi dito is kung ano ka ngayon, it is your choice. Kung ano yung pinapakita mo sa tao ngayon, ikaw may control, and yun yung agentic perspective na sinasabi. Ikaw yung kumukontrol sa sarili mong mga desisyon and mga plans and mga ginagawa mo sa buhay. May human agency, meron namang core features of human agency na sinasabi. So, Bandura discusses 4 core features of human agency, which is yung intentionality, forethought, self-reactiveness, and self-reflectiveness. So first, let's move on to intentionality. So, intentionality refers to acts as persons perform intentionally. So, an intention includes planning, but it also involves actions actions. So, it involves our own actions here and behavior sa intentionality. So, ginagawa natin yung mga bagay kasi choice natin. It's our intention to do it. So, for example, if intention mong mag-inom or mag-party-party dyan, so choice mo yan. That is your intention. If intention mo is to make someone happy, that is also belongs to intentionality. Kasi that is an intentional action. So, it also includes planning or setting a goal. For example, you want to be a dance lister ngayon sa NDU and you plan it. You set goals about it. So, intentionally, nagpursige ka na nag-study ka and such to make it happen. So, pero sinasabi rin daw na hindi raw lahat ng pinaplan natin is nagbubunga or natutupad. Sometimes you also fail to do what is planned. Yun yung sinasabi sa intentionality. So, next is, people also possess forethought, sabi ni Bandura. Forethought is to set goals, to anticipate likely outcomes of their actions, of our own actions, and to select behaviors that will produce desired outcomes and avoid undesirable ones. So, forethought enables people to break free from the constraints of their environment. So, halimbawa, you set goals nga, and yung forethought is minimake sure niya na ang outcomes of our goals is desirable and hindi tayo mabibigo. Like, we will not get disappointed at the end. So, to avoid undesirable outcomes of your actions, you need to anticipate or expect mo na kung ano mangyayari for mo itong certain actions na to. For example, nag-cheat ka sa exam. You know that it could result to an undesirable outcome and pwede kang ma-zero ng teacher mo and mapagalitan pag nahuli ka. So most likely, hindi mo yun gagawin, sabi sa forethought. Okay, so next is yung people do more than plan and contemplate future behaviors. They are also capable of ito na yung sinasabing self-reactiveness. Self-reactiveness is in the process of motivating and regulating their own actions. So people not only make choices, but they monitor their progress toward fulfilling those choices. So, you need to make sure, sabi ni Bandura, that those goals you set for yourself or you're planning to do are capable ka of doing it to surely achieve it. So, hindi lang siya nakalimit sa kasi gusto mo itong ganitong klaseng outcome, kaya ito, gagawin ko to. So, no doubt, you also need to check if you are capable of doing it to result for better accomplishment. For example, gusto mo pumunta sa Japan sa susunod na isang buwan, pero wala ka namang enough income and trabaho to achieve that kind of goal. So, dapat palitan mo yung goal mo na yun kasi alam mo namang hindi mo ma-achieve yun and you are incapable of doing it. Diba? So, to avoid disappointment na rin. So, finally, sabi ni Bandura, people have self-reflectiveness. They are examiners of their own functioning. They can think about and evaluate their motivations, values, and the meanings of their life goals. And they can think about the adequacy of their own thinking. Okay, so, this is emphasizing na we are capable of thinking and evaluating our own motivations to this kind of or certain behavior. So, for example, you are exerting so much effort to be a dean's lister kasi nalaman mo na may privilege and mawawala yung tuition mo if na dean's list ka. Halimbawa na first ka or second, tapos pag second half lang, ganun. So, doon pa lang, you're already capable of thinking and evaluating your motivation to do that certain action, which is yung pagpupursige mo to become a dean's lister. So, yun yung sinasabi na self-reflectiveness.